How's it going, everybody? It's a very short intro. I just wanted to say hello, really. As you'll hear a few times over the course of the video, please remember that there is context to all of this, and simply screenshotting the picture at the end isn't doing yourself a favor, really. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Enjoy the video. I'll do the other. How's it going, everyone? Shit, I'll do that after in post. I'll do that in post. All right. Okay. All right. So who do I have here? I have Spaniard here. Hello.
Hello.
I have Nutella here.
Hi.
And I have Normie here.
Hello, Tim.
All right. And now we're going to discuss the current dodge attacks and assign them light or heavy parry. We're going to include the changes from the TG, meaning the delay windows, and the extra iframes they got. That we're going to include.
Yeah.
But we're not working under the premise that everything's a light parry at the moment. We're just going to take what it is in life right now, and then on all the properties they have, from hitbox, from undodgeable, from whatever else, the chain links and all that, we're going to consider that, and then with all that, we'll hopefully come to a conclusion. Are they fine to be a light parry? Should they be a heavy parry, and whatever? That is what we're going to do.
I guess as a disclaimer from me, I'm going to have to leave my opinions at the door, because personally, I'm fine with lots of them being light parries. I've been enjoying playing the TG, and I haven't really minded. Even ones which I think we will all agree are weaker. So, the dodge heavies that got changed to lights that are weaker, like say Shaman's one, it's only 12 damage. I played quite a lot of Shaman, still had a lot of fun with her. And I don't mind if the devs want the baseline of dodge attacks to give light parry punishes. I think there are arguments he made that is reasonable, and I'm not entirely opposed to that. So I would rather see certain dodge attacks improved to be worthy of being a light parry, because we're already happy with a bunch of them being light parries.
Yeah, so that's what you basically say. You said a baseline, and that's what we're basically trying to convey here, right? A new baseline. And from there, we can obviously, if some of these dodge attacks get improved, they can give them a light parry. If some just stay shit, maybe they should stay heavy parry. Or maybe even if they get nerfed, move them down.
Yeah. So in that sense, I will be happy to play along with this and rate them, potentially rate which dodge attacks are good and which dodge attacks are bad, and then...
Yeah, we can discuss what they would need to be good enough to be considered something else. Oh, we're gonna do that, but yeah. I'm just gonna move a couple things here now. You see the stream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just do the dodge things first, I guess.
Yeah. I do also want to mention, I'm completely opposed to every dodge attack being a light, even if they were all really good for some reason. They all got buffed. I wouldn't want them all to be a light. I like the dichotomy of having some as heavy parries. I think that's a huge avenue of balance. You're losing out for simplicity's sake.
Yeah, well, it is a bigger avenue of balance, but I also think it makes a massive impact in some scenarios, but not a very big impact in other scenarios. Basically, essentially, it means how good is this character at dealing with feint to GB mix-ups, and how safe are they against them, and to be fair, also dodging out of chains. So whereas it doesn't really affect their team fight viability, or those are affected by other metrics, essentially. So I think that it's not quite as cut and dry as that. For example, it'd be weird to have a character whose light attacks just only gave heavy parry punishes for the sake of variety, and that would make their light interrupts, for example, much more valuable defensively than another character. So I'm okay with there's already variety in light parry punishes across the cast. There is variety in moves that can punish unfeintable attacks. So some characters have like, and to be honest, I've banged on about this drum for a long time, and Nutella will agree with me as well that you should learn to use your character's other tools, use your full blocks, use your deflects, use your crushing counters, so on, to get better punishes. And actually, a lot of the time, they're in the region of light parries anyway. But there are some characters that don't have those, or sometimes when those punishes don't work against specific opponents, so deflects against, or like some deflects against Kensei are the classic example.
Basically, what you're saying is you don't always have to go for the fucking parry to get the punish.
No,
There's so many other options, and many people just flat out refuse to use it.
To be fair, those options won't be, even if they were all light parries, those options would not be useless, because in team sometimes
some would be less favorable.
Some will be. Oh, some would certainly were.
But sometimes they would be more favorable.
Sometimes they'd be just
like take PK for example. Make it a light parry. If I'm near a ledge, I don't want a light parry. I just want to dodge and ledge the character, right?
Yeah, you get
things like that. Right? But yeah, let's just go for the list here. By the way, it's not a tier list. By the way, it's just the visual help for all of you, just so you can see it. It's basically what we're saying. Just listen. You can just consider this more a podcast. This is just a visual thing you can look at, but you don't have to. But yeah, that's just the top row is basically, I think everyone agrees, these are feintable. Dodge attacks here, JJ, TND, and Warmongandr should not be heavy parries, light parries, sorry.
So if the main thrust of the argument for making dodge attacks light parries is that, they beat Feint to GB and then they make things too safe, well, those three don't beat Feint to GB, so there's no reason for them to be also light parries.
Yeah, if that is the sole reason for someone. And then Nobushi obviously is her Sidewinder is very special. It is working just like a zone attack, meaning Sidewinder ignores superior block, and it is very unique. Has always been very unique, and I think it should continue to be.
I would rather than making it more like a dodge attack, which is what they've done by making it light parry, it would be better to make it push it further towards this zoning identity. Make the startup 100 milliseconds like it used to be in the past, and keep it as a heavy parry.
Especially since she has Cobra Strike, anyways, right?
Yep.
It's like good iframes,
Yeah, there's no point in having two dodge attacks that are both light parries on the same character.
The same goes for TND, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and TND's dodge light probably could be improved with the. It's weird that actually it wasn't changed with the delay windows at all. I mean, I guess if they made it the startup any slower, then it'd be even worse as a crushing counter because it's already slower than that. But they really ought to extend the delayed window on TND's dodge light so you can use it properly to punish, to make it a little bit easier to punish bashes and so on.
Well, yeah, that is the job of the dodge light from TND. Punishing bashes, and we're gonna have that as well when we go into talk about dodge attacks that are meant to be bad. But yeah, do you guys want to talk much about dodge bashes in general, or do we just keep them just there? Or is there anything you want to say? Because
I mean, there's actually a lot of diversity in the characters that you've got dodge bashes. Well, firstly, Warden kind of doesn't really fit with the same pattern because his doesn't beat Feint to GB.
Yeah, he has really bad dodge attack in general. Doesn't beat Feint to GB, gets GB'd afterwards, doesn't confirm too much damage. It's slow as shit, interruptible.
I mean, I guess the benefit is if you feint to neutral in order to dodge and GB it, he can just feint and not go through with it. So if it did beat Feint to GB, in many ways it'd be too powerful because you could just. Sorry, my cat's yelling at me.
We can't expect that Noodles is going to have her appearance.
Yeah, Noodles is going to be. She wants to be included in the podcast. So if it did beat Feint to GB, it'd probably be too powerful because you'd be able to see the opponent's feinted and then feint and not follow through. So it's a weird one, doesn't fit in that. But then even within that, I guess we haven't put Gladiator in there, but Gladiator's dodge bash now is as risky to use, more so even than Conquerors or Shinobis, but it doesn't guarantee any damage. So that's a weird one as well. And
I think when it comes to Glad, he needs a complete rework of that entire dodge attack system. Both his dodge attacks are really meh.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because people say that Glad's dodge bash is and is bad anyway because it doesn't confirm damage. So it's almost like making it not confirm damage and be safe is still pointless because it's not
Yeah.
good now.
But as
So-
it is, it's a really good stalling tool. Can't forget that,
Yeah.
right? Because it is really
Yeah.
annoying if somebody just keeps doing that and you can't GB him, right? Because he used to be able to chain, which he can't do now anymore. But every time he just dodge bashes you, you're just once again in the mix up, and then it just takes a lot of time to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could
So
always dodge
that-
attack him to punish it, but it wasn't the safest thing. But it's still irritating. And to be honest, it was probably better
Yeah.
if they made it do direct damage or confirm some damage, and then it would at least make sense that it's punishable. In this, I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
weird.
but I mean, it's once again going into the realms of what does it need a full
Yeah.
rework or something. But yeah,
And Goki's as well, I do want to point out. He's constantly on the low end of damage now since they keep nerfing him because it's short tempered. Now he has a 10 damage dodge bash that gets punished for 24.
Yeah,
That can't chain. It's a bit rough.
it's a bit weird. I mean, I
Yeah.
think again, if it's not these
Probably
changes
need more
are great,
damage than that, sure, but
slap-
dodge bashes in general, they kind of need to be looked at in their own right because they're all unique in their own ways. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And we've got LB as there as well with his 700 millisecond dodge bash, which is super vulnerable now as well. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe add the hyper armor back now that it's punishable, and then
Yeah.
it could be
Yeah.
interesting that way. Or again, they could just speed it up, which is
Yeah.
probably what they will. If they change him, well, I'm sure they will at some point. But
Yeah.
that's probably what they're going to end up doing.
Let's talk about actual Logitech still, I think.
Yeah, okay, I can move away from that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Which one you want?
Let's start from the left and go right, I guess. So Ara.
Ara, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best dodge attacks the game has, right? So
Yeah.
can't
Very
really
safe because of the recovery cancel that's reactable. Like you can use it on reaction to everything. It loses to unblockables and bashes, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, something that is worth noting is one of its big strengths at the moment is that it's got 200 ms to 400 ms startup in live.
Yes,
which
it
is
already
now
does have that,
less.
exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody is shared by. So, I mean, obviously it has these other strengths. It's actually really high damage, 16 damage, so it's one of the highest damage dodge attacks, and executes and is super safe from external opponents at least. Obviously, you can be parried. So and it has good chaining options as well. So
Yeah.
can't
go
dodge.
straight into 400 ms light. Or well, Deadly Fate mix up, not 400 ms lights.
Yeah, it's a really good dodge attack, and so I think it's fine that it's a light parry. Even I think a lot of people would say, even if they didn't like all of the other changes, that this one is the least controversial that should be a light parry. I think. I mean, Normie, what do you think? You've been quite quiet.
Well, I mean, like I said before, I think mostly all of the dodge attacks the way they are right now, minus 1 or 2 are fine with how they are right now on live. So sure, I think Ara is probably the strongest dodge attack that. I think normal dodge attack. I think it's pretty safe to say it's the strongest one because it has hitbox, iframes,
Recovery cancel.
yeah, recovery cancel, good chains after. It's the only one I would be persuaded to think could become a light parry. But even then, it's like, because if you there's still tools to deal with it pretty easily, and nobody's gonna, like we said, you can use all guard on reaction to mostly everything. If you know what you're doing and you're not just spamming buttons, then it's really easy to get around that too by just GPing, because nobody's gonna react to it 100% of the time. So, but yeah, it is very strong. So I'll be persuaded to have it a light parry.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Zerk.
Yep, I think that's fairly.
Yeah, undodgeable, huge delay window, changes into hyper armor, comes from a whiff recovery cancel, which might get buffed, who knows, to being in a full recovery cancel. Huge hitbox. Undodgeable once more, because that's such a huge property for a dodge attack to have. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Kind of
What is
just
it?
shuts down all dodge cancels, which,
While we have that one
especially-
here, your opinion on standardization of the 200, 400. Should Zerk keep his old one? It's 100, 400,
200.
right? That's Zerk.
I think you should probably keep it
Yeah.
because it doesn't have as many iframes as other things, and also I like it being like it was. It was weird, the phrasing of the patch notes, and in the Warriors Den they implied that they'd just be making 200 to 400 MS the minimum window, but it seems to be that they've actually contracted a lot of windows to be 200 to 400, which is odd. I think it's almost illustrating how weird it is that they've made the Feintable dodge heavies light parries, because those dodge windows haven't been touched. So JJs are still 300 to 500, but it's still like, so it's clearly, they don't think of it like a regular dodge attack, but it's still a light parry, which is just bonkers.
But yeah, you're fine with that too, Normie? Or would you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I do think that like the standardization thing should be a thing of making the bad ones better, but keeping the good ones good. Like, bigger window is good, especially on a character that really needs it, because he kind of revolves around it in 4v4. So
these undodgeable ones where you have to punish, you're often using them to punish dodge cancels. Having them be fast to start up is pretty important.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, good point, actually. Otherwise, you're just going to end up with the other guy having his guard already up again.
Yeah,
fair point. All right, let's move on. Cent then. One of these new dodge attacks that are sadly meant to be bad. I mean, I kind of worded it a little negatively, I'd say. But still, they have been introduced for the sole reason to punish bashes. That is it. Some characters had no way of punishing bashes, which meant if the opponent knew that, now, if I'm Warlord against the Cent, the guy, he can't punish it, so why would I not headbutt spam the guy, right?
Yeah.
So these are here now to do that one job. And if you use it any differently, you're being punished very harshly. And this is the intention, I guess, and we somewhat have to accept it, right? I mean, these are bad and should, in theory, be heavy parries, I'd say. But if that is the design intention, I mean,
to be honest, I would be happy with Cent and Yorms being heavy parries just because they don't have much defensive tools. Depends on Yorm's free work, obviously, but with BP and Warlord, they have a lot more defense, so it's fine giving them a really bad dodge attack. Cent is a really weird one. He has nothing going for him defensively. So, yeah, it is a question mark, but that was the intention.
Yeah, I think the only good thing is like a really short chain link to punch, right? I think it's like just 100 MS or something ridiculously low.
Yeah, but it is light still, so
yes,
that isn't enough.
Yeah.
It's also they also have a really bad tracking on the punch right now, so you can't really feel how good it would be.
Yeah, I was just trying to find a little bit of positive, right?
Yeah.
It's a strange one because you can see that. So Warlord and BP with their dodge lights, clearly they're meant to be sort of mixed. They're quite defensive. They've got quite a lot of defensive properties already. Whereas Cent and Yorm, at least the way they're designed, implies that their design should be very offensive. And so I can see why they decide to not give them good defensive tools, because they want to emphasize these characters being on the offensive all the time. Cent's got a massive stamina pool. Yorm doesn't work, but I mean, maybe when the rework comes, we'll see if Yorm ends up being an offensive monster, then the light attack would be, it being a light parry would be warranted for that. And again, the same thing if they manage to buff Centurion's tracking on his punch properly. I don't know, do other things to make him better and offensively, because currently he's not even really that good offensively.
I mean, that's the sad part about being a variable bash hero. You're not really going to be good all the time.
Yeah, he's just annoying because of the stamina drain at the moment. That just makes him an annoying opponent, but it's the only scary part, and that's a part that he shouldn't have in my eyes. So
there is an argument to be made that for all these ones where they've made dodge offensively, a lot of characters have been buffed by this, the change to make all dodge attacks light parries. So characters with variable bashes become stronger because they can light parry if you dodge attack them.
Yeah.
So
Surely it'd just be better to give those characters a better defensive tool, anyways, though, because they
I
are
don't
the
know.
ones who need it.
Yeah, but then you're saying it comes down to like, the same argument about standardizing can be kind of turned on its head there as well. It's like, oh well, surely it's better to have some characters that are really good offensively versus giving all characters multiple layers of defensive
Yeah.
tools. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that, but you do have the point there where you could just buff variable bash characters who need it because variable bashes don't work in fours. Period.
Yeah.
Like they need help as variable bash characters. That is a thing.
Right. Moving on.
Yep. BP in the same tier.
Yeah.
Very
goes here
very
too.
strong defense tools. Good-ish offense. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, he
This
has
is-
flip already, right?
Yeah,
So-
this is the only one I would say out of the new ones that could be kept alive parry, just because he can bash, follow up into a dodgeable and flip after it, which
Yeah.
it's a really good tool in most scenarios.
Yeah. It's
This one
actually
I
good-
could say would be
sorry.
this could be the only one I'd say that stays alive parry.
It also being a light is really good for him because it changed to bash.
If it was a heavy, it would be worse offensively. So
A lot, actually. You're right. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. Good point. All right, let's just leave him there. I mean, everybody knows BP.
Yeah.
All right, Pirate. That is one can argue again because I think the hitbox on Pirates dodge attack is the most absurd thing on the whole character. I think that hitbox is just, I don't know how that even happened. And yeah, everybody hates the recovery cancels, right? Like you can't talk to anybody without them complaining about the recovery cancels, no matter what.
Yeah.
So yeah,
honestly,
I don't know.
like if you list all the things that this dodge attack has, insane hitboxes, beats chain high prom with the bash, dodge cancel, so not quite as safe as Aramusha's because it can't be done on reaction to everything, but anything it can't beat, it can dodge cancel away from. It chains into what is problematic offense because a lot of players don't know that you can like parry the walk plank on the very last frame, and those that even if you do know it, doing it consistently can be difficult. Some players like Normie and so on.
Yeah, are you guys doing that? Normie?
What parrying last frame?
Yeah, on Walk the Plank.
Well, honestly, everybody used to do it. Not anymore. The unblockable is both of the unblockables are so bad and so easy to react to that nobody.
So you don't even have to, is what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I guess
if we had to, then yeah, we would.
Okay.
I
the
do
thing is,
also
if
want
you're
to.
reacting to it, you're probably parrying on the last frame anyway, or close to the last frame.
No, we're not because people get caught up by it.
I do want to point out of Pirates that making a light parry doesn't actually address what makes it strong. Because it's massive hitbox and not being target swapped onto who it's actually hitting is what makes it strong, right?
Yeah. Oh, and it still confirms the chain bash on.
Oh yeah, and it confirms gunshot if it hits you and you're not targeted by her.
Yeah.
So they might need to change those factors instead of making a light parry. But making a light parry is a okay middle ground nerf, but she'll still be problematic and annoying as shit. So
Yeah, I think it will help at least with a lot of the complaints about, and so you could almost put it in the sacrifice for Reddit column, which I think is not necessarily the best wording, but
I mean,
It's a
yeah, it's
perfect
kind of
wording,
a
in fact.
meme category, but
yeah, I mean there are arguments to be made that if they're very problematic moves that a lot of people complain about all the time, then they're divisive. Clearly, a lot of these players they don't use their other tools they have available to them. Although, of course, you can't really deflect
I
it.
worded it wrong there. No way. Yeah, it's light parry. It's not a heavy parry.
yeah, making it a
really
light.
Yeah, making it
deflect
light.
it.
So do we put it there then? Is that what you guys would prefer?
I feel like
think
the
it should be
nerf
light
would go to the wrong spot. Is essentially the issue. If you make it a
Yes.
light parry, you haven't nerfed what makes it so strong and annoying at that.
I think it should still be strong, otherwise because the character is meant
I mean,
to be.
sure,
teamfighting.
that is part of the character's bread and butter. It's just people are complaining about it, not because it's a heavy parry, but because of the fat ass hitbox, recovery canceling into itself, confirming the pistol blast, all that shit.
Do you think the people who like loudly complain about it for those reasons, or because
No.
it's dodgy?
No, they have no idea why they hate it so much. I had a feeling like it's hard to quantify exactly why you hate it, but it feels like an overtuned dodge attack because you focus on, it's also a heavy parry on top of all these things. Despite the heavy parry not being what's annoying you, it's all the other things that annoy you. It's you catch it and then you only get a light attack on your parry. Example.
Yeah, but most of the time you won't be able to catch it anyways because it's not locked onto you.
Yeah, and full blocks can't beat it too because it is external enhanced.
Yeah.
Yes, some can. That's the thing. Well, that's a completely different discussion. I think every full block should have an undodgeable riposte out of it, which currently is not the case. Some characters do not have one.
Like I mean, she can still beat that with chaining into high primer. Yeah.
Do you want
to
to chain
high primer?
Yeah, well, that becomes a different thing because I don't think there's a character with maybe Warlord, but even then it becomes a mix-up after that, and a mix-up is fine.
I guess.
I mean, I think there's a good argument to be made that having a superior block should work consistently on external attacks and zones.
Yes.
It is counterintuitive how it currently functions, and yeah, it adds depth, but it's one of these. It's really strange, and characters like Pirate, which are very very annoying because you got Kyoshin, Aramusha, who he's got these tools to deal with them externally. They don't fucking work against her externally because it's enhanced on external blocks. So
you can usually dodge away from it, and then heavy to dodge away from the next part just by going to another person because of the range. But in general, you could buff full blocks, but that'd also need nerfs in other areas of full blocks. So yeah,
I mean, it's also crouching counters too. She can trade with crouching counters, which is bonkers. But
yeah,
I'm fine with her should be light parry though.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I'm honestly fine with her being there.
Oh yeah.
It is bordering on the precipice of falling into sacrifice because it's a complaint rather than what makes it strong. But yeah.
So Gladiator.
All right, yeah.
We're talk about the dodge light or the dodge bash.
No, the dodge bash. No. Dodge bash, I mean, would obviously fall in here, but we briefly talked about it. I think, let's just recap from what it was back in the day. It was one of two dodge attacks that was unsafe on block. Back in the day, if you blocked Gladiator's dodge attack, you would get a guard break guaranteed. So, I think the intention was always it should be shite. Basically, I don't know, but it's from all that it has, all the properties and shit. It needs to become a heavy parry in my eyes.
Yeah.
I think that's a weird one because he's meant to have this. Well, that's because the dodge bash is no longer safe, but the dodge bash was always the finger quote safe option, and then he had the dodge light also used to be really high damage, used to be 20 damage.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they were sticking with it being a dodge light, then they probably should buff the damage on it, and it would be kind of nice if he had good chaining options. So if they made it medium hit stun and he had 400 ms light attacks, for example, properly, then it would probably be warranted being a light parry, especially with the option to use a dodge bash.
With the other change of the TG though, I do agree it's a heavy parry, without a shadow of a doubt, but yeah, that's right. It has a lot of things going for it potentially.
Yeah.
If you would change stuff.
Yeah. But it's a really telegraphed stab, right? You don't have no hitbox.
Poke even,
stab.
You literally dodge around and
it doesn't come from the opposite side or anything either, right? So
yeah, no, same side as you dodge. And you literally poke around enemies. It's not great for a hitbox at all.
Yeah. With these ones that have very it's interesting if they have very singular they're very single target things. A lot of them they have to be good in a team fight. They either have to have a huge amount of movement so you can kind of move away from anybody who could punish you from using it, which to be fair it does have good movement. Does it have I don't think it has the best movement, but maybe that's something they could buff, and so he can dodge away from somebody right onto the edge of the team fight, poke them, and then he can't be punished by it.
I think too much
Or
of the movement is on the end of it, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you
know.
take like another step, like you
Yeah.
you hit him, and then you take another like little bounce to the other side, right?
Yeah, you like jump over to the right after hitting him. I think that's kind of the issue. It has good movement once you land it, but you're worried about the before part because someone will track you if they had through attack before.
Yeah,
the
but I'd
fact.
also be, for example, all right with giving it like a couple more iframes than other dodge
Yeah.
attacks. Then
Yeah.
I would make sense if
they-
if it stayed alight,
Did they
right?
in the recent patch that added iframes to lots of dodge attacks, or was that did Glad's? I thought Glad's got
Already
He
had,
got it
I
in-
think, yeah.
He got it in it from his TG. And his dodge bash lost the delay window, which he used to have in his TG, I believe.
I guess that's been added back.
Yeah. What about you, Normie? What's your take on Glad?
It's bad, make it a heavy parry. There's literally no need to go so in depth about it. It's bad. It's a poke, it's not a swing. Make it a heavy parry.
Would you ever see it becoming a light parry? Is essentially the
No.
point. No. That's fair. That is. You need to buff it quite a bit, and Glad quite a bit for it. They could
Yeah.
revisit it once they rework the character, because he kind of does need one.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the
Yeah.
more lacking ones, right? Overall.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the weakest ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then
Straight
the
to
first
sacrifice
one in the
your
Reddit tier. There we go.
I
mean, I hang on. I think like it's so slow. I don't think it should be a
I
fucking
think it
light
should stay
parry.
as a heavy parry.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be allowed to parry that.
Yeah, but I'm not sure with Gryphon. What is the view of that character now? Because he was hated as fuck. Then he's been dog shit for.
Nobody plays him. There's no view.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Nobody like plays him either. Like he was
the
played
charac-
for.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like he is becoming more liked. I don't know.
Gryphon Monkey.
Yeah.
No.
Like, it could go. It's I don't know if this is something that's relevant to quite a lot of these ones. I mean, we've mentioned it very briefly, but I don't think really many of us put a lot of consideration on it. But a lot of them are low damage, so it's 14 damage, which if it was a light parry, well, maybe it should be 15 damage or 16 damage. It's a weird. He has more health. He's also benefited quite a lot from this TG by the guard removal on block on dodges.
Yeah.
His big swinging hyper armor heavies now are going to catch people a lot. You
Yeah,
also
exactly.
his hyper armor is faster on the dodge attack itself. So on the chain properties, the chaining heavies recently, so you can't really deflect it if you're not using the characters that break hyper armor. And now it also has the faster startup, so it's got 200 to 400 MS. It's in general been buffed quite a lot, and Gryphon as a character has been buffed quite a lot by this TG. So I think the argument for it being a light parry is to be made there. Maybe it could have slightly more damage.
The character does coat stuff it for his offense, though, because getting into his chain is almost impossible from neutral. It's 300, 500 bash.
Yeah, I mean, that needs to be
Yeah.
altered. I mean, but it's also pretty easy to see how it could be altered. If his forward dodge heavy was Feintable, then that's what he really needs, and it chains on miss. Because he can now kind of mix it up with the forward dodge light, because he has chain hyper armor after everything, so he can trade with dodge attacks. I don't know.
But you're still using it as a dodge and not a dodge attack. It's a dodge attack that you're using it. Oh, I use it because I have more iframes than the normal dodge. It's not even a dodge attack.
What do you mean?
Like, I see the Gryphon one. It's like people who you use it because of what comes after it, and not the dodge attack itself.
It's got good hitbox, right?
Not really.
No, not at all.
Remember in the game plan video when we tried to hit someone with it and we couldn't?
Oh, okay, well, then that's
Its
then
hitbox
we
is
need to do that
actually-
as well in that case. Improve the
Yeah.
hitbox on it to be as good as it looks like it should have. And that,
Yeah,
something it should-
exactly. That is
yeah.
one of the things with hitboxes in general. If the visual weapon swing is just completely opposite of what the hitbox actually is, and here's a good example of that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I guess I don't play him enough to know that it doesn't have as good.
Yeah, like Normie just said, it's like nobody plays him, right? Or did Nutella?
No, Normie.
Normie. Nobody plays him,
no.
right? You don't see him anymore. It's not surprising that we don't know.
No, I mean, we have tried him with the Conquest format stuff. We have tried him because he has still really good feats, right? So he's usable in that sense. But we've used him, and it was like when he got his dodge attack buffed, and then he got what comes afterwards buffed, right? Like Spaniard said, it was a big buff to his dodge attack in general, and it felt good. But like I said, you're still not using it for a dodge attack.
Yeah.
Which at that point it's not usable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's one of those where it can work like Shaolin's, where it can just have a hitbox. I mean, I don't think anybody would mind have a hitbox.
Yeah. If I had a hitbox, do you want it to be light parry or still heavy?
No.
Yeah, like Harry
I think
said.
that's gonna be a theme, right?
that is fair. I just want to ask because at the same time, it is still his main tool, even if it did have a hitbox, into going into his chain. So getting punished dramatically for it would be kind of rough. But yeah, you need Gryphon buffs in other places as well if you ever want to make that a light parry.
Because he can't get into his main tool main defense very well. So
Yeah.
Where Kensei is the opposite of that now, with neutral ring the bell, basically.
Want to go for Kensei right away?
Sure.
All right. I think he's the most complained one.
yeah,
So
easily.
while I'm not sure whether Gryphon is worthy of a sacrifice, this one here is the main sacrifice.
I think he's more than a sacrifice because dodge attack is actually really good now. Like,
Yeah.
it changed into a 36 damage unblockable mix up. 34. What is it?
Still
Yeah, 34 unblockable mix up. And then it has hyper armor as well. It has hyper armor lights. It has
Heavy hit stun.
heavy hit stun, good hitboxes. Well, decent hitboxes, not good.
It comes from the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that almost makes it easier to hit people externally.
Yeah.
I find.
And you can dead angle, so it's like a 30 damage in team fights.
Yeah, the dead angling thing is obviously that confirms lights after landing.
If you get hit by the angle light, you can GP Kensei now.
Oh, you can.
So be careful. It's a super positioning depending thing. Like if you're in a specific spot, then you won't be able to because you're not gonna be in range or whatever. But in terms of recovery, if you get hit by it, you should be able to guard break it.
Okay.
It's a weird one as well. I mean, if you block it, you can guard break it too, which is also very strange.
Yeah.
If he doesn't hit you, guard breaks it. I mean,
and he doesn't rely on it anymore for offense. Like unlike Gryphon, because he has neutral ring the bell. So I'm happy with making that a proper light parry.
That's another thing to remember.
Does
2 damage more than Gryphon's at 16 damage.
Oh yeah, 16 damage.
I mean,
yeah, in general, it's a really strong dodge attack. Reddit hates it for a good reason. They don't understand the reason most of the time, and they just attribute to it's a heavy parry. But I do think making a light parry might balance out its strengths. Maybe.
Something that we probably mentioned. Well, we kind of mentioned it with Berserker, but the the delay window on it got shortened to 400 instead of it was 300.
That didn't do anything. That did not do anything.
Pardon?
I mean, 400, 500 allows you to beat some charged bashes even better.
Yeah.
Like,
so it should. But the question is, should Kensei go to 200, 500, or 200, 400? Is that fine?
400 is fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It has enough to back it up in other places.
Yeah.
Right, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay.
Highlanders is it's one of those dodge attacks that came with the bad ones, but they said they wanted to make it good because defensive stance needed some more defense. So by that logic, it should probably stay as a heavy parry.
Yeah,
it's not even that good.
I think they said that because they didn't want because it looked so similar to the Celtic Curse cancels. They wanted to keep it on on the heavy input, and they knew that the light parry change was coming. So I think that's
fair, but they have a point with what they said, even if it was a cop-out point.
Yeah, they should have just made it light straight away. Just do it with the others. Just do it straight away. Why this little extra step in the middle?
Sure, that's for certain. and the dodge attack is better than Centurion's by a long way. It's got a hitbox,
Yes.
it's got heavy hit stun, it chains into hyper armor.
Wait, it has heavy hit stun?
Yeah, it's heavy hit stun.
I
If
didn't
you-
know that.
if
Interesting,
hits you
thank
out
you.
block, it confirms a 30 damage top.
Yeah, it confirms top heavy if you get hit out of luck, and it also makes it unparable. I think if you get hit by it in chain, like while locked on.
No, you can
Undodgeable.
Parryable, undodgeable.
Undodgeable.
One
You
of
can't
the two.
dodge it. You can't
Yeah.
dodge it.
So he does pin you down with it. It's a okay dodge attack, and it should stay as a heavy parry. Honestly.
Even almost have a sort of pseudo dodge cancel because you can go defensive stance and then dodge up immediately afterwards. I haven't really
Yeah.
tried it much myself.
Well, I don't
but-
play the hero.
Yeah,
and
but
dodge
it's
I'll be using that in team fights anyway. But
Have you tried Highlander in Conquest format?
Have I what?
Have you tried Highlander in Conquest format?
Yes.
Did really? Yeah, I was
Yes,
making
I
a
have.
joke, and you really did. Okay, fair enough.
Oh well,
Don't
I did.
touch
Well,
fire.
Who played
okay,
him?
no, that was before though. That was before the. I played them
okay,
because it was too easy, so we ran out of characters. But I mean, honestly, I think it's fine. Sure, the hit something I think is a bit funky because like making something undodgeable and parable afterwards. It's at the same time it's yeah, whatever. It's undodgeable. I don't like making stuff like that undodgeable or unparable afterwards, but at the same time, it's a blockable heavy from with nothing after it. So
Yeah.
I think
Hey.
honestly, Highlanders is fine right now.
as
Like, I don't
a
know.
point of information, there are loads of attacks which are. I mean, Kensei's finisher heavies are undodgeable after the side ones are undodgeable after he's landed
Yeah.
heavy as well. So you can
Yeah,
deflect them if you block it, but
Yeah, that's the trade-off of heavy pit stun and block
Heavy
stun.
hit
It
stun,
kind of
yeah.
fucks with all of that.
yeah.
But I like the way it is right now, and I don't know why since defensive mode is so static right now, and that's like in defensive stance. That's the only defensive move you have.
Yes, yeah.
Other than
Crushing
maybe
counter, I guess.
then backstep plates, but
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion about backlights. But
Yeah, well, they already said they already tried to remove them with.
VP,
Blackfire.
I think they're gonna kill them all. Probably.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
and-
rightly so. They are.
yeah.
I agree. Yeah, they're very annoying, but yeah, like Highlander is fine.
I mean, I would like Highlander is one. It's another one of these ones where if the character was better in many ways, then it would probably be fine as a light parry. But that's the same with all of them, right? Because the whole point of this discussion.
Yeah, but that's like saying, oh, if a character is better, then he needs a nerf more.
Yeah, I know, but like that is.
If he was better and he was overwhelmingly better, they could look at it as a point of avenue of nerfing him. Yeah.
I mean, just
So
with
I guess
go ahead,
the
sorry.
thing would be to do is like, well, hopefully when these characters who have currently we aren't happy with their dodge attacks being light parries get reworks, then they can make them good enough to be light parries if that's what they really want.
It's not stay heavy parry.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
become or be a heavy parry right now. If they want to nerf, I don't know, say they want to buff Aramusha again for some reason after assuming it did become a light parry, they could
That's
make
what
it a heavy parry.
right here. There's a big
Yeah.
text box within their current state. You guys can't see, but yeah, that is what we're
Yeah.
discussing.
Yeah.
Once certain characters get buffed or the dodge attack gets buffed, there you can always make the case then, oh, it should maybe not remain as a heavy parry. So
Yeah.
that is
So
then I
it's
guess-
always up for debate, I think. So that
Yeah,
is
and I think that is. I mean, that's probably one of the things that's causing my generalized disagreement with the sentiment here is that there's an argument to be made that by talking about things exactly as they are now is a bit backwards looking, and by especially when we've seen the most recent patches have had loads of little balance tweaks. And we know there's reworks coming up for Valkyrie and Tiandi and Yorm and who else other characters down the line as well, presumably. There's an argument to be made that they can do this change, and as long as they are speedy with compensatory buffs, which they look like they're being more speedy
I mean,
with.
Yeah, but we only have the full picture of what we have right now.
Yes, that is true.
If we
That is
look in
true.
the
And
future and just assume this and that and this, it's going to
I
receive
agree.
changes
And-
and then discuss it on that basis. I mean, It's just
Yeah.
Yes. No,
yes.
I
But
agree.
I also agree
Getting-
with you. Obviously, if certain changes are coming, and as it is right now, they might come really quickly. So it is
Yeah.
certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Maybe it will make sense. What we say right now that Gladiator should stay heavy. Maybe in 3 weeks, it's gonna receive changes. And once a new season, 3-4 weeks,
Yeah.
whatever. Maybe all of a sudden we say, yeah, with these changes, yeah, makes sense.
I do want to
Yeah.
give a little counterpoint. Imagine a character like Yorm, who we would maybe say is heavy power. Just imagine.
Yeah.
And then his rework shows that it's not actually a great dodge attack, and it'll be a light parry for the rest of time until they eventually look back at it. There is the case of keeping it as a light parry for a time until it gets buffed, hoping the buff is fast, but
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah,
slow.
yeah.
Okay,
just-
They have been slow
we're
for
starting
them.
to cope about the future here.
Yes,
So
yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Coping is a bit hard.
Yeah, but we
Uh,
have more reason to be optimistic
Yeah.
nowadays than we have had in the past. And I certainly would not have had this opinion the same time last year when we hadn't seen, when reworks came very slowly and we didn't see much else, you'd
Yeah.
be years before your character gets tweaked. But now we're seeing changes, like 2 lots of changes every season that can be pretty dramatic. Like Zhanhu, for example, has had some really big changes that address core problems with the character more than I would say just tweaks, even if they are
We
just
can
tweaks.
straight up move to the character that we know is gonna get changes. And
I
Yeah,
think
well,
we could do that with Valkyrie actually, because with Valkyrie
we
even
want to do
know what the
Valkyrie
dodge attack-
first because we
Yeah,
know the
because
changes.
we know what her dodge attack. Yeah, they
All right, I will
made
not.
this.
I will not position her. You guys.
Yeah, they made the
say
side
what you
move of it much larger. Like she actually jumps to the side. It's like a Raider side dodge, like 80% of one. She avoids quite a bit by side dodge lighting now.
She actually already has
in
the
her
same
TG.
dodges as Raider, by the way. Side
Yeah,
dodges.
so Valkyrie kind of, you could argue for it to be a light parry in that state of saying it is a poke, obviously, and all that. But now it has a huge side dodge, and comparing it to Raider, where he also has a huge side dodge.
And she has
yeah.
safer options afterwards with a full block and then sort of dodge
Yeah.
punch.
Well, what about that one, Normie? I'm curious.
well, well, honestly, with the rework was all over the place. Not in a bad way, but there's so many things different. It's like making a new character from ground up. So until we actually see it, because we think, is it coming to live the exact same way it was in TG? I don't think so. Not exact. Like I expect some
Maybe minor
damage.
tweaks,
Yeah, minor tweaks. Which minor tweaks could affect major ways, whatever. But I mean, overall, you can just compare it to other dodge attacks that are similar. Which would be what?
It's very similar to Glad, isn't it? Just if
Yeah.
you isolate it to the dodge attack, it's very similar to Glad.
Yeah, and in that case, it kind of needs to be better. So, could be a heavy parry. I don't remember what came after it in terms of chains.
Not 400 MS lights anymore. She did get full block access that's not dubiable, I think, right?
Yeah, well,
As long as she
still
has something decent after the dodge attack, then it's fine.
Yeah, she has her full block, basically.
And she has really big hitbox heavies as well.
And unlike Glad, who has jack shit after dodge attack.
Yeah.
Well, his side heavy's got crazy tracking.
Yeah, it's crazy how those take 9 hours to put out though, so it doesn't matter because you're not going to use them anyways. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Glad's heavies are weird, but yeah, Valkyrie has big hitboxes and forward movement with her heavies, and then she also goes into full block as well.
What it didn't do is that if she deflected with it,
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, they did nerf it that way.
Which is weird.
You think that's intended? Is basically what I was about to ask.
I don't think so. And it's weird if it is intended because they keep on going the opposite way around and making deflects on the same input as dodge attacks. So it kind of goes the opposite direction for that.
Yeah, it's less user comfort. Oh, you deflect, but press heavy.
It does fall in line with deflects, though, right? If you deflect something, you cannot dodge attack.
It does, but then that's not the opposite direction they've been going when they've been adding or changing any deflects.
Yeah.
So
it's all about that user comfort of I expected a dodge attack, let me dodge attack.
Honestly, I'd rather have it stay come out and then just make it unblockable so it's guaranteed when you block something with it.
Sure.
And then, but no buff to damage. And the same thing could be said of Kensei's actually, because Kensei's is weird that he's got a superior block on his side dodges that doesn't really confirm it.
Wow, would you make?
I'm not
Would
sure
you
about
make
the
it
Kensei part.
unblockable with that hitbox?
Not sure there. I'm fine with it on Valkyrie because she is a poke. On Kensei, it's a big sweep.
Yeah,
so.
and Kensei has the bigger window too.
Yeah, but if you're going to superior block... Oh, well, obviously, the superior block window on Kensei should go down to the deflect window, like the 200 ms duration. There's no... And that should be something... We've not mentioned it with this one, but it's something that hasn't been changed with this TG, and 100% should be. There's no reason Kensei should have a 500 ms superior block window on his forward dodges and 400 ms on his side dodges. It's bonkers. Even if it doesn't confirm anything, it's stupid. It shuts down lots of offensive... when you're out of stamina, it's a really good defensive tool. The same thing applies to Conqueror. So I would be fine with it having a proper riposte if it had a proper window as well. And same with even with Kensei, because you're going to be when you're hitting it, it hits. If you're being hit externally, you're not going to be throwing the attack from the direction that it hits in.
So I'm not sure. I just say for Kensei, it might be a little too strong. For Valk, because it's a poke, you're going to hit one person. If you hit two, you're, I don't know, go buy a lottery ticket, I guess. But Kensei, hitting multiple people might actually be a very common thing.
It might be. But then remember, if you superior block something, it's going to be on the side that the dodge attack doesn't come from. So you're more likely to not hit that opponent.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we won't know. But yeah, I guess we can try with the whoosh whoosh, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, make it a light parry, and then it's not too powerful anyway. Hey,
yeah, I'd actually agree with that then. Yeah, even more so. But yeah, where do we put Valk then? Why is it?
I think with the upcoming TG, it could be fine as a light parry. They could knock it up to should be heavy parry. You can debate that back and forth, but I think you compare it to Raiders because it's very similar with the side dodge distance Valk has, and then she also has deflect or superior block, whatever, on her side dodges. Plus, she has her dodge attack that then gives her even more range because Raiders roots him down. I think she's fine being a light parry.
I mean, I'm used to all the I play most of the characters, and I'm used to all the ones that have light parries being light parries, and so that means.
Okay.
I mean, if you change these, I'd still keep the input the same. I'd still make it a dodge light, even if it had a heavy parry. They've done it with Zhanhu.
Yeah, changing inputs is so weird. Just stop doing that.
Which is why I was annoyed that Centurion didn't come out as a heavy parry to start off with, because if they're going to change it to light parries soon, well, it's a stab, so it looks like it should be a heavy, so it keeps on messing me up when I try and do it.
Dude, I still press light on PK deflect.
Yeah.
Awful.
That's an input window.
All right. So she's debatable here. She can go in both. I think it's very much dependent on how strong the rework actually comes out. There's an argument for both of these here. Should become heavy or is fine as a light. So let's keep it fine as a light for now because we know the rework is probably going to be really strong.
Yeah, I mean, if you rename these the categories to being, is it too weak or is it too strong, or is it strong or is it just fine? Then it's kind of like at the moment it's too weak, but it's probably fine when the rework comes out.
All right. Moving on. Yeah.
He needs a rework and we can talk about it after.
Yeah.
No comments.
Yeah.
I mean, the hero is what the fuck.
It's shit. Move on.
Yeah. Kyoshin.
Kyoshin.
It's funny. He's right next to Orochi, who you can compare these two really well because it's the same animation.
Yet one is shit and one is really good.
It doesn't have the same hitbox. It is slightly faster. It doesn't have a dodge cancel, etc. There's so many different things about them that Kyoshin's ended up being worse. And the devs knew that, I think, which is why they made it a heavy parry to begin with. And going back on that and making it a light parry while Orochi's is still a light parry and you can't really make it more punishable. Yeah, it should stay as a heavy parry, I think.
Yeah.
Just talking about those
to both. Yeah.
Something they could do for Kyoshin's dodge heavy. If I've been weaving it in throughout like the compensatory buffs, as it were. It does light hit stun, which is strange. So they could make it medium hit stun, and then it would be able to chain into his mix-ups. Like, so you'd let him chain into his heavy better. They can improve the
The
hitbox.
scabbard.
The scabbard attack.
Actually, here I can make a thing and say I changed my mind. I don't think Aramusha is the strongest dodge attack. It's definitely Orochi.
Yeah, Orochi has the strongest one, but it is a light parry already.
I don't care. I don't care. If you have a brain, you use it properly. You don't get
Yeah.
parried.
Yeah, I know. It's just the point of making them light parries or not.
If you have a light parry, if you have a brain, that this is what the light parry change is. Such a weird one that it's, to me, it's weird that it's so divisive at the top level, because it so much more affects the bottom level of play than the top level of play. Because you're already not.
I think it's the other way around. I mean, it depends on the scenario, I guess. But in 4v4, I think it's the opposite. I think it doesn't make any difference in low level play, and it makes a lot of difference in high level play. Whereas in 1v1s, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Because in 1v1s,
you do find people don't target swap things properly at low level, and also 1v1.
yeah, but it's not like it's gonna. What will making it a light parry do for low level? Okay, they spam it, they get parried. Then what? What's different?
And you delete these people.
They die faster. They're reverting to CCU.
Yeah, well, that means they don't run onto the if you're in this 1v1, if you're in a 1v1 with on a point and your dodge monkey Kensei runs up and you feint over and over again, then you can kill him before his 3 friends rock up, because they always run around in 4s when in 4. Yeah, there's a reason people complain about it. It's not just dodge. It's not just dual players who are complaining about Kensei's dodge heavies. You also see people complaining about it in 4s as well, because it does have an impact on there as well.
I think it's stupid and
on it
doesn't make a difference. Whatever. It's like such a whatever thing.
Yeah, I think it'd be best to teach players to use their full block, crushing counter, deflex, superior blocks. It's free. It looks stylish on deflex and superior blocks.
They're never going to do that, though, are they? I mean, it doesn't help that deflects, the window for deflects are 1/3 of the window for parries. So even if you have a deflect, it's significantly harder to teach players to use it because it's harder to time. So
I think people like Nether King and King Misty have really popularized deflects though, and dodge attacks are the easiest place someone can do them against. They're always the same timing. They have the dodge beforehand. I think honestly more content like that will actually help lower players, where they're like, I want to be cool, and they end up actually doing better because they're punishing things properly. It's
still undeniable that deflects are harder to pull off than parries. Like I watched Barak's recent duel videos against the top players or whatever, and he misses a bunch of deflects in that. He's been playing the character for years. I know Normie
will have something to say about
this.
this.
I'm not gonna say anything.
But okay, so even these like super pro level players, King Misty, whatever, they miss their deflects from time to time as well. It's
Spaniard, are your figures the size of a fucking Polish sausage?
Yes, I do. I can't. Okay. I find it difficult.
Well, then I see why you missed them.
Yeah, exactly. So,
would you want to buff deflect windows on site? No.
I mean,
hell no, brother. Hell no.
I'm curious.
I mean, I genuinely think it's weird design to have. I don't like things that have bad input. I mean, they have problems in themselves. In that if you buff deflects to make them easier to pull off on side deflects, you would end up with accidentally deflecting more, and then that's really annoying with people who on the input same window. You also have lose your iframes when you deflect, so that's a problem as well.
Not only that, but you'd make a lot of accidental dodge attacks turn into really high punishes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. That's a big problem. Yeah. So I wouldn't.
You need the intentionalness of deflects to actually be a thing.
Yes, I would like
going for it.
Yeah, I would like, and then obviously then they could have lower the damage on them as well.
Yeah,
they're going to be a little bit easier.
But if they lower the damage, then it's not the proper punish anymore.
Yeah. Want to quickly say the 3 changes?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
For one,
so 3 changes.
We don't have the same input. Oh, you want it? Oh, go ahead, you do it. Sorry.
The different input to dodge attacks. Deflects. Entering a deflect doesn't make you lose your iframes, and probably reducing the damage.
Oh, and I'm removing basically the zone input on the.
Yeah.
Attack that basically selects that. You can't have that.
Yeah, because you can option select unironically with a dodge zone, and if you could get a deflect, and it's on the different button. So
and then we have the debatable one, or at least I think once you get a deflect, should you be able to react to getting the deflect? Should there be a big window or a small window, or should it be conscious? I'm going to deflect this one. I input both buttons, dodge and the deflect input, before seeing it. Or can the top players dodge, get a deflect? Oh, right, I get a deflect. Let me press the right button. Which some players will not be able to do simply because of reactions. That is a different debate, but that was one of the changes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, are there any deflects currently that everybody can react to the window of getting it and input it?
Shaman.
Yeah.
That's the biggest window, yes.
Like you can literally dodge, be done with your dodge, press left click, and that's it.
It's a
You'll be
500 MS window or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think
It's big. It's really big.
I'm against difficult input windows.
Yes, that is why I said
That's
it's a debatable thing, right? Actually, we either make it everybody can react, or we need to have the input before. So
I would like to have a window, but not as large as Shaman's. But I wouldn't want to have a Zerk GB on everyone. There you go. That's my take.
Because I can actually then see that I've got a deflector, press light, and not just dodge and then throw it. Because you even play beforehand, you dodge and then you sit there and then you throw a light.
Yeah,
which is obviously
the buffer.
So if I
Buffer
doing that and on an input that I'm not even sure that I'm going to get because it's only 66 milliseconds, that sucks. So
Well, if you make it a bigger window, then that's gonna make it an option select now.
wait,
That's that.
Well, if you can use it later into the dodge, then that also means that you can just dodge attack if they feint a garbage.
Yeah, if you have a big enough dodge attack window, if you have the 400 right now, in theory, people could like, oh, what am I getting? Oh, okay, I'm pressing this button now.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair point.
Oh,
You can for reactive players, you can just sit there and watch and see. Okay.
Also, there's a lot more to deflects that don't like, because like what makes a deflect good or bad is firstly, sure, the damage and what it does, but then what comes after is what you get punished on, because nobody's gonna punish you externally. Because we're talking in 4v4 here, nobody's gonna punish you in a 1v1 if you deflect, right? You're deflected, the guy can't do anything.
Yeah.
But if you have another guy on the side, then you put Orochi, which is probably the most popular deflect. Or you deflect that guy, do it on him. Or I don't want to do the follow-up confirm light, I want to deflect the other guy as well, and then you go kick Misty video. Wow. But you can use that as an argument as well. But I don't think it should be a bigger window, because dodging later into the coming attack leaves you more exposed for other things. It leaves you more exposed for a confirm from somebody else. And there's a lot more factors into it, I think.
yeah, I mean, I just personally don't really like difficult input windows.
Yeah.
So
Game's not hard, learn how to play.
Yeah, exactly. Almost got
I'm not
potato
nice.
fingers and a potato brain.
But no, it
No,
was just,
I think that's the thing. I was gonna keep this for the end, but I think this is a good moment to say it. There's nothing that's hard to do. Like, it's not a hard input window. You're just used to what's easier. It's not like this one's hard in particular. Sure, I dodge and then have 6 years to input my dodge attack. That's more convenient. But I don't know, like to play the game.
You say that, but it's a subjective experience. Like, you
I'm
don't
a
have
devil's
brain
advocate.
or body. So what's hard for me isn't hard for you. You're a young.
Yeah, that is true.
child.
That is true. Young child. Yeah. Okay.
Well, things are easy for me, you know. Like I know.
Like-
No, I'm not going to throw some really awful shade. Like filing my taxes. No, that's very difficult.
I mean, how is
It's not
that
easy.
How is
Oh, I
that?
hate
Yeah.
that.
How
it's
is
not
that?
easy. It's not easy. Yeah.
If anything, that's also my dub. But anyways.
I was gonna say, but basically saying by saying that I'm gonna throw some amazing shade now. I was buying my time to think of something that I can do adequately as a 30-year-old man to put down a teenager, and I couldn't think of a thing. So yeah, I'll just
moving on. Tangent is
Can we
over,
cut
I
this
guess.
cut this from the video. Please,
I don't
please
think
cut
so.
that.
All right,
It'll be
PK.
a treat for whoever got so far.
Yeah. All right, PK. Find us everybody. If
You
you
can dodge and
want,
GB
yeah,
it.
if you want to punish PK's dodge attack for more than your 12 damage light, and please dodge it and GB the woman,
Yeah.
because that is.
You can even stop to think about it.
It's got such a
You
bad
can, oh
recovery.
look what's coming. Oh, a dodge attack. Oh, I need to.
It's like, you dodge and you're like,
Dodge.
oh, look what you've done.
Yeah.
But honestly, they should fix that shit as well. Like that's a massive thing that's holding her back in
Yeah.
team fights as well. The fact
Sure,
that
but if you wanted to make it a light parry, let's just look at what you'd have to do. Like, you'd have to, okay, first it's got a bad hitbox, so it has to have good sideways movement. Then it doesn't chain to anything, apart from deep gouge when it lands. And when it doesn't land, it gets GB'd, obviously. So maybe you want to make it chain. So it's like, you have to do so much for this dodge attack to make it a light
they
parry.
have to do
Please.
three things. They have to make it not. They have to lower the recovery on it significantly, which also improves the chaining. Because if you lower the recovery significantly, then you can kind of chain to neutral again. Like if it had the same recovery as deep gouge, for example, then you're chaining to neutral, so you can beat that, and you also beat guard break. So that's two things that it can do, and improve the sideways movement. So. Yeah, I mean, if they really want to, give it fucking dodge cancel. She already has it on her dagger.
Yeah, which
thing.
is not gonna. What are you gonna do? Chain the dodge attacks into one another?
Yeah, she doesn't benefit from a dodge cancel. It'll like benefit in 4s, but not in like a 1v1 scenario.
You're not gonna hit twice.
That's what I mean. Obviously, it's the disadvantage to it is the fact that it is a single hit target doesn't matter outside of 4s because in 1s there's only one person. So giving a dodge cancel improves the fact that it's a single hit target in 4s.
I mean,
and that's
it does change a bit in 1s because you can sometimes dodge something too early and get hit by it. There's no chance that's happening against PK dodge attack. It's a stab hitbox that appears at like the end of the dodge attack. With like Kensei, you might dodge it maybe too early and actually get hit by it. That can happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, okay. So it's something, but it's not.
Yeah.
These aren't like giant, impossible changes. Especially we've seen they can change the recoveries of things really easily.
Yeah, but as is, the dodge attack is already highly susceptible.
As it is,
to
it's
being
trash.
punished.
It's really bad.
So making it a light parry on top of it, just because people refuse to do anything but parry, just showcases that people need to actually learn the matchups.
I think it could be classed as the worst dodge attack, honestly.
Yeah, but then that's like, I don't know. It's the fact that people complain about it. It's coming down from a game design perspective. Like players don't fucking learn.
Yeah, but they don't complain about. I don't think anybody complains about PK's dodge attack, right?
I've had people complain about it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy how that's just not real.
I can't believe that one bit.
I know that's not real because I have my eyes closed. Like this.
La 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 la.
Yeah. If you use a dodge attack against somebody in a 1v in a duel that you win, they will complain that you're a dodge attack spammer.
Isn't that part of the point we should make, that this TG is going to say something like it's going to nerf these dodge attacks, but people are going to keep complaining about them. Like you nerfed Orochi lights from. They went from 700 to 400 to like 600 to 500 to 400 back to 500. People still call him the main light spammer of the game. They literally got rid of his free light chain. He's now a 2-light hero.
This is for high, mid, and low level players, not actual like orangutan playing the game.
You're excluding a huge portion of the players.
I know I am.
But
I'm making friends again.
This is a very difficult question in general. Like when talking as from the perspective of a game designer, what to do about players who refuse to.
Sure, but they will complain about this dodge attack regardless of how bad or good it is. Like PK's is undeniably shit, and people complaining about that kind of highlights the issue of this TG, of the light parry changes. The rest of it's great, by the way. With the light parry changes, if you make it the light parry, it's actually objectively the worst. You could maybe argue Yorms because Yorms is light parry. Here, that's just shit in general. Just light parry PK dodge attack.
Oh yeah, as a light parry, PK dodge attack is the worst dodge attack in the game.
Like 0 questions asked. It's just that bad. And even as a heavy, it could be that bad.
And it has more damage. It does a lot of damage. So
let's just say it should stay heavy, and it needs buffs. It needs improvement.
Needs fix, please.
All right, Raider.
Fine as light parry. He's
Don't touch Raider. Just leave Raider the way he is, please.
Leave him. You had the good middle ground now.
You reworked him more times than you make. Dude, please leave Raider alone.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Let's leave Raider there. Good. We're good. This one.
I mean, I do want to mention.
Say something? Okay.
Just about Raider. His dodge attack is great because huge iframes, chain options, but also because he has huge external side dodge distance. If you nerf that, you might actually need to buff his tap because it's one direction only. So please don't touch Raider. But keep in mind that it's good because of side dodge distance as well, and not just because of itself.
Yeah, the side dodge distance is going to be less important with the removal of block on dodge, because obviously on
I think
dodgeable.
it's even more important though, because now it's like you can some people can only
No, because
could only block and dodge, and now
at least
Raider can
currently,
actually avoid things.
I mean, A, undodgeables are going to catch it, and
Mhm.
B, I mean, at least with the way they've changed it, some of the you can feint into light or feint into heavy and catch them now. So, you know, I think that makes a bigger difference as well, depending on the character, of course. Some of them don't have very good range on attacks, but externally dodging away from things without a guard is not as strong as it used to be. Case in point, Valkyrie has the same dodge distance as Raider, and nobody really complains about Valkyrie externally dodging things.
Because she didn't have
Because
a
nobody
kit for the
plays
longest
her,
time.
man.
Not just that, but
in
she didn't have a
general.
kit for the longest time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but people don't say that as one of her giant strengths.
Yes, you're
Like,
right.
even-
You're
I
right.
think they will mention it once they start playing against Valkyries when she gets reworked.
Fair enough.
Yeah, will become more evident, obviously.
Yeah.
Just
I also
as
think
a side
that's
thing, I had a comment on a recent video where somebody said, "I've been playing for a year. I've only played against Nuxia twice." So yeah, not not playing against specific heroes is a thing for
Yeah.
a lot of players' perception, and I think for Valkyrie that might be a thing that nobody's aware that her side dodge distance is equally as dramatic as Raiders.
Yeah.
But, all right, moving on.
Hit-
Or more.
Hitter. Yeah.
Hit,
go on.
yeah. I think she's complaining about a lot on Reddit.
Remove the character.
I'm not. I'm fine as heavy party because that thing has been nerfed massively since the. Has it been nerfed from TG to live or after?
The TG
after live?
was the only time it was good. It had a huge hitbox, it had a delay window, and then it also had high damage, and
It was
maybe
16
changed.
damage,
Yeah, maybe changed faster. I don't remember. It was really good then, and people actually hated it so much it got nerfed.
Yeah. So
Technically,
the funny
you
thing
could.
is that, undo that. It can be fine as a light parry.
Yeah, I'll do all that. Yeah, sure.
But at the same time, it is also how she does get into her mix-up. She doesn't do much from neutral. At higher levels, her heavies get parried.
Yeah, that's true.
So there is the argument to be made. She kind of goes on it, but she's also a variable as Shira who struggles anyway, so they do need to look at her separately. Yeah.
And variable, and they need to look at Hito's another example of needing to look at how feints and parries windows are reactable, because that's a big problem for Hito. Back in the day, I remember 3 years ago, it used to be talked about how Centurion had really safe offense from chip damage from heavies because you couldn't parry them on reaction, and now people are doing that despite it being the CCUs having happened in between times. So something needs to be done about reactability of feints and parrying things. I don't know, maybe it's possible to remove one frame from the end of the parry window. I don't know if that would make it harder to react to feints in time. Who knows? But
this is such a stupid thing. Like,
curious.
Because no, I mean, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like nobody parries sent variable time heavies.
I think sense is harder because it's variable stabs.
Not a single human, not one. Maybe moderate.
I mean, we
descriptor.
do a bit of testing on it, and Silencer was parrying. Like I tested the Silencer.
Okay, Silencer was whatever. Silencer Blitz. Tell me one person who's gonna do that in an actual game.
No, I'm only saying that in
Zero.
theory that they were. Okay, all right. Maybe a bad example. Hitokiri is much easier to do in an actual game, but in theory, some people were parrying Centurions on reaction in a testing environment. So presumably, in that case, they need to tweak just a little bit, because already some characters are very difficult to parry variable timed heavies in the real game. So they don't need to change that much to make it similar to Hitokiri, one would argue.
Bollocks. Whatever.
Sure.
Move on.
Shaman.
Shaman. What? Go ahead.
Ironically enough, I think she should stay as a heavy parry.
She's so fine the way she is. Just
in fact, I think her dodge attacks become a lot weaker now that everyone has iframes and a delay window. She has high damage.
And her window has been nerfed.
Her window has been nerfed, right? Yeah.
No, it's current in live. It's static at 300. So she's
Is-
buffed to it.
Is this that?
No. Shaman had
absolutely
a
not.
500
No
MS
shot.
delay window.
Absolutely not.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Shaman.
Sorry,
Shaman.
was this about
We
Kiri?
moved on. No, we moved on to
Shaman's
Shaman.
Okay, my bad,
Shaman's
yeah.
200,
Shaman's
500.
enough, yeah.
This guy
Yeah.
lives in the past. Anyways,
I'm
Shaman's
slow.
super good. I mean, super good. It's not super good, but the only reason Shaman's is good right now is because low recovery, like ultra low recovery, and you can use it to avoid like every attack to
Yeah.
ever come out in the game since 2016.
It has really good iframes. I'm just saying,
Yes.
comparatively, everyone's catching up now. Everyone's getting good iframes.
Which is
Everyone
fine.
has
I
delay
mean,
windows.
she's still gonna stand out for it, and I think that's fine.
They actually got
Yeah.
nerfed slightly in the most recent thing. They got one.
They
move-
sh-
one
Oh
frame
yeah,
boost
1
on-
frame less something, right?
Yeah.
Or something.
But-
Yeah, and
oh,
she
yeah,
has heavy
no,
hit stun on them, so that too.
They already did nerf a bit of her iframes, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. They upped the iframes by 1 frame and reduced the tracking by 1 frame. So.
Oh,
weird.
so they made it even better? Or
Well, I don't know if that's better.
It is better. It is better. Tracking is nowadays tracking means 0 and how good the dodge attack is
actually,
because
means
dodge
a
attacks
bit.
are used.
It actually does mean a bit. Like Nobushi's one doesn't have a lot of tracking break, which is why it eats like if you get Orochi light, unblockable heavy, you can't actually buffer a dodge attack on that. You have to really delay that input.
Yeah, but isn't that like a it's like a problem, not a
I think it's just the case of having low tracking break. So I get there's a problem in the Bushi's. I think they didn't actually give her any tracking break, or if they did, not many. But that can happen. I doubt it'll happen to Shaman because she already has a lot.
She's a weird one because she's got such little movement on her hitbox. Even if it has no tracking break,
Yeah.
you're
Like-
still not moving out of the way of it.
You're not
so-
hitting anything, that's the problem with Shaman, right?
Yeah.
You hit the target
Shaman doesn't have-
you're locked onto, but if that person just like stumbles a little bit backwards because they're drunk and all of a sudden, nope, not gonna hit anymore. Just like
Oh,
your
yeah.
range on the thing is just
I mean, it has the same animation as Pirates, which has the biggest hitbox ever, and Shaman's has kind of got a smaller hitbox than her weapon implies.
but smaller
Yeah.
just doesn't quite cover it.
Yeah, well,
her
It's like it's
hitbox
so
is
small.
very-
It's really so small. Like you
will-
whiff
it will
on
hit the
people
target,
that you
and
knock
that's it.
down with you know how I think what was a revenge knockdown? Like side dodge into heavy, right? That's the most you can get. And you need to buffer it so hard. And sometimes, depending on terrain, you will knock them out of range for your dodge attack, which is absurd, right?
Yeah.
You're locked on target, you cannot reach. And I think the range on her dodge attack is just so bad. Just so bad.
yeah.
So you cannot hit anybody in force. Like it might as well be a stab.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it works
almost-
like a stab.
Almost axe mode dodge attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zhanhu's was
Oh.
really strong. I would just want to move on because Shaman's, I think we're all in agreement. Zhanhu's in this TG is really strong to the point of being overpowered, I
Yeah.
think.
It's busted.
Because they gave him 200, 400 window. He now has a 600 MS functional dodge attack that can't be dodge GB, I believe. And leaves some attacks to being 1 frame parries. Like if you're like Kensei, I think you have a 1 frame
Yeah,
window to
1
parry
frame.
his dodge attack. And it's a bi-directional dodge attack. It can be on left or right. You can't tell until
And in theory, it's unreactable to most players.
yeah. I think it's alright for everyone, but I'm not gonna comment there.
Rather than some people's- well, I don't want to say.
I don't
No, I see a lot of people, even all the scrims, all the Tonys, he hits a lot. He hits a lot of the
Yeah.
dodge attacks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
And-
consistently
and it-
reacting. I don't think it falls into
Yeah, and
that
then into the
category.
fray, he was already a monster on console tournaments to the point where dodge attack spam was unironically something people did.
Well,
Right now, you can side dodge GB that. In the TG, you couldn't because you could just dodge attack again. And yeah,
I mean, you can always chain into.
he can
something.
also chain. Yeah,
I think a good fix that is don't let him recovery cancel if he misses the attack.
He already
because
has
then
the
you-
100 attacks, right? Or
he has to
133
rely
attacks.
on dodge attacking. Yeah,
Can't they just
Off-
just make the delay window the same? Like they don't need to. He doesn't need to have a bit.
I think they could keep his delay window 400 MS and he's fine that way.
Yeah. He's almost in the same. He's almost in the same camp as the Feintable dodge attacks, where the dodge attack itself it's a kind of a combination dodge attack and mix up, and
yeah, it's his
so
own tool.
it shouldn't beat Feint to guard break basically, and actually, if anything, it could do with a bit of a nerf to its guard break vulnerability, so that it's more consistently guard breakable. Because at the moment, it has 500 milliseconds guard break vulnerability in live, and that's a bit weird because it means Feint to Guard Break sometimes catches it and sometimes doesn't catch it compared to just a regular side dodge. So if anything, I would give it 100 milliseconds extra Guard Break vulnerability and leave it as it is.
Buff to damage.
You give it 600
damage
GBV.
to 12. Oh, I mean, leave it as it is in live, 400 ms window with 200 ms Guard Break.
Yeah, 600. So okay, that's a lot.
600 total, which is the same as Tiandi's.
How would that look? Animation wise?
I mean, you get Guard Break out of it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
I mean, his animation.
It's not too big a deal. I'm just curious.
His animation's at the end, really, because that's when he does his strike. So it'll look more like you're just doing his long dodge.
Yeah, I don't think it'll look too weird.
I might actually want to buff the damage because 9 is a really shit risk reward if you're using it as offense as they intended.
I think his attack is perfect in live. Actually, I don't think it should be buffed at all. Not even damage.
Yeah, you could just leave it as is. I think that'd just be fine.
The amount of pressure he has now after it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It can chain into itself. Okay, that's one thing. If you're mentally AFK, you just die to it. Okay, that's one thing. Then it changed. It has faster chain link into unblockable now. It's like super. The unblockable is super scary. It's self-feint GB. Unblockable lights have become better now with the unblockable heavy also being technically faster, and it also just goes into zone, which is also super helpful. Yeah. It's like just leave it. It's fine. Zhanhu's gone up actually quite a lot. He's top 5 heroes in Dominion right now. Maybe top 4. Maybe main comp. So I just leave him.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Agreed.
Yeah, this state, the TG state of Zhanhu is just, I think we can all agree, is just too strong. Yeah.
I mean, I went on Friday today from a Dark Tide binge, and I played Zhanhu in TG duels, and I actually got dodged 3 times in a row.
Oh. Well, I mean, people have probably quickly caught on, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's busted in the TG.
Yeah.
So if there was a column for too strong in TG, then that would be the one that's in it.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Medjay, what is it?
Stuff or axe is the question.
Okay, let's take the worst one first. Okay, axe mode. I want to say axe mode is fine the way it is, the dodge attack, because it works in. You know how you're supposed to use that one for 1v1 and use that one for team fights.
Yeah.
It works, where I think that's as far as it gets is when you're 1v1ing somebody and somebody else comes to the point and you can still use it for that split second to dodge an attack and then, switch to staff when you have a good window. Yeah. So I think it works fine. It also works fine with his offense in Axe. And it doesn't have too much anything. It's fine, I think.
I think it's low. Medjay's damage is wacky because in staff mode it's really high, and then it gets boosted even more with his tier 1, and in axe mode it's bizarrely low.
Okay, no, that's false. That is giga false. It is not low because of the way his offense works. Sure, it's 9 damage, and then you have the 9 damage bash, but it's little damage that comes at insane speeds. I think he's fine the way he is.
It's not so much that's his other moves that are he has 11 damage zone attack, which is 2 damage less.
What do you use that for? Might I ask? Might I inquire?
Getting to unblockable, I guess.
Exactly, getting to unblockable. Also interrupting things because it has 0 cost. You're not using that as a zone attack.
The point I'm making is that all his numbers in axe mode are abnormally low compared to across the rest of the cast moves that perform similar functions. So
let's make him higher then.
Good thing or bad thing, that's fine, but it's still weird.
Yeah, sure.
It's weird.
It's a 12 damage dodge attack.
It's weird that he has a 12 damage dodge attack, whereas all these dodge attacks that are supposed to be bad, like axe modes are 14 damage.
Yeah.
Especially. Yeah. So if they were to make, obviously, you're going to say fine as a heavy parry, but if they were to make it a light parry, then it needs to be looked at because it's weirdly.
If they were to make a light parry axe stance, which already needs to be looked at, by the way.
Yes,
because the dichotomy of axe and staff is everyone wants to be in staff more and axe for 1v1s occasionally. If they need to really look at axe stance some more.
I think they need to look at the character overall more than he has.
Okay, so as is axe heavy.
Yeah, axe goes to
Yeah.
heavy.
Stuff.
Stuff.
Hmm.
It's strange because obviously it's one of the strongest attacks in the game, right? So for that reason, you could say, oh, it could be a light to be more punishable. But like we had earlier, making it a light won't fix anything about the attack.
Yeah.
And especially with how it's used currently, making it light won't give you more of a punish anyways. So I think it's kind of like pirate.
You'd be nerfing the wrong thing, yeah.
You've been nerfing the wrong thing, and I also think like what he needs is make the hitbox human. Don't make it hit behind him, and that's fine because it doesn't change into anything. And then keep it heavy. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so we keep it heavy and nerf.
Yeah,
Good.
keep it heavy and stop
if you wanna
the
make it light
fucking
parry,
astral hitbox.
We make it.
Yeah, well.
Pardon? Spaniard?
Arguably, you could say if it was a light parry, it doesn't change really much in fours,
Yeah.
but it does punish you for using it using staff mode in 1v1s, which you shouldn't be doing.
Sure, but you're making staff mode in 1v1 even worse than it already is for the people that are using it there.
I don't believe that. I just think it's
Well.
just being facetious about how weird it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
yes.
It's just,
I think
it's
he's
a
the one.
meaningless,
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's a meaningless nerf that'll basically punish you super hard for using the team fight tool when it eventually gets parried if you fuck up.
Yeah. I think
But-
he's the
Well,
one that you can talk the most about because you can make so many arguments about different things. Oh, this needs changing, and then this would implicate this and that. So
Yeah.
it's he. I don't know. I think the design choice of having a good version and a bad version in different situations of these two stances just
Yeah.
yeah.
I think everyone wanted the two versions to be like used together, or something more like Highlanders kind of is what was supposed to be as well. Is what everyone wanted, but the way he came out, it's fine with heavy parry on both.
Yeah. I think the debate is probably the staff dodge attack.
Yeah.
That is the one you can have an argument about. I don't think the axe should be like in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. It might have Zark's visuals, but it doesn't have the hitbox or anything.
Any of the other
Remotely.
properties, like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think these are even compatible. Like Circus is
no.
just
Does 3 damage less? It's
yeah.
No, it just doesn't do anything. It's
it just doesn't. Let's
incomparable.
move
It's
along.
incomparable.
Exactly.
Uh,
But yeah, I think
Warlord,
this is the one.
Warlord, make it unparable.
Unparable.
Reason one, my character. Reason two, okay, you dodge light, and then what? Tell me, what do you do after you dodge light? Tell me, what do you do?
Warlord
Yeah.
doesn't have a chain. That is true, but
It's
Warlord
weird, honestly, and it doesn't look very good chaining. I honestly thought it would make more sense if it just worked like his shield bash poke and put him back in neutral really quickly.
Yeah.
Give
I
him
mean,
a
no,
dodge
no, no,
bash.
that would
There we
make
go.
it even worse. That would make it even worse. The only good thing it has for it right now is that his follow up heavy does a lot of damage and has super early high primer. So if you dodge something in team fight, you can trade, and most of the time, maybe if you have it in third comp and you don't have 3 JJs, 14 Medjays, and who knows what else in the lobby, then you will win the trade. But as of now, you have a poke that doesn't do shit. Damage, so far, it's only good for like stealing the momentum.
Yeah.
And even then, it puts you minus, right?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like,
Frame advantage.
oh, so if you go, no, I mean like, so if you don't chain, you get your minus.
Yeah, which
Well, that's what I think. That's what it would. That's what I meant in terms of working like the.
Yeah, but it being a frame trap might not be as wanted as the high promo option.
I don't think it's the problem of the dodge
You
attack
can do both. You can
needing
have
to be light or heavy parry, or this. I think
yeah.
it's the problem of Warlord not having anything in chain.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because Ward's really strong without having anything in chain right now. It's decently strong.
Yeah, he's definitely on the above half of. How
It's
strong
always
characters are.
weird with this fucking character. He's on the sidelines, and here he comes creeping up. Everyone playing him, and no, Warlord's really good. It's always the same with this character because it's
Really,
sometimes really hard to
head in.
explain why he is so strong. Right?
The run, you know.
Yeah,
he
it's
sneaks
like-
in by ability once
Like,
again.
legit, from everybody saying, "Oh, this character is dog shit now," to "Oh, look, crashing charge exists." Right? It's like it was so weird that yeah, Warlord story
That-
is always
Then they said,
quite
he's
something.
dead. Crashing Charge is gone, and then people kept playing Kib in like Conquest, and now he's an option there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a strange character,
The Beast.
Let's move
and
on
he has
to
other
the.
like problematic things. I think.
Yeah.
I
I do want to say it's one of those Logitechs that are meant to be bad as well, but it honestly does look like you could throw like superior block on it just to make it a little less insulting because it has no chain. Make it a little stronger because you could do that like Tatiandi has technically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because even if you look at the animation, it's basically already there. It
Yeah.
moves the shield in both directions, so it's fine. Just do it.
Yep.
Somebody cue the clutch GIF, something. We have that, right? Maybe I'll
What the
edit it in.
Logitech gifs? Yeah, I'll put in voice for you later.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will make sense as a buff. But yeah, if it just wasn't meant to be dog shit.
So make it heavy, please. No,
I
seriously.
mean, all of these here, except for BP, are just could in theory be heavy, or should be heavy, I guess. But yeah. But yeah, moving on, Nuxia. I think there's.
Ooh, this character.
What?
Yeah,
Wait, which
nobody-
character?
Who?
Yeah.
I mean, the least they could do is at least make it enhanced, like the other.
Yeah, at the bare minimum, it could be enhanced.
Give her a proper deflect. Give her a whole rework.
Yeah, she needs a rework. Case closed. Stop. Make a real hero, and then we can talk about the hero.
Crazy hard. I don't even know what character you guys are talking about.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, Nuxia does need a rework because traps don't work. Her dodge attack is meh. Her deflect is blockable, but also uber high damage if you manage to get hit by it.
Is this up and coming in a new update?
Yes, the Caltrops character.
Oh, as a tier 1, 2,
As
3,
a-
and
yeah.
4.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's basically cycling, no global cooldowns, nothing.
Yeah,
So you can
I
drop
wanna
all four
play
at
as
once.
4 nails welded together.
Alright,
Yeah.
Shaolin. Let's just
Oh
go
yeah,
there.
it's to Shaolin because I think he's
Shaolin, my favorite.
my
Oh.
favorite.
The hitbox,
Yeah, there
dodge
we go.
cancel. Oh, straight into it. Okay,
Straight
hitbox,
into it.
dodge cancel into Chi. Chi's pretty strong right now, like, very strong right now, and he
Even
has
stronger with changes.
the gank of all time with sweep. Because
Yeah.
knockdown bashes have high for armor.
At least they fixed the not.
Okay, y'all are haters, but I think it's fine. And I don't even play the character.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's certainly on the spectrum of the most powerful dodge attacks that we're looking at. It's up there with those other 3, I think.
I think it's very easily counterable because most dodge attacks, you can just use them on that, and he doesn't go into key fast enough to counter that.
This is true.
Most dodge attacks, and you have watching 2 pirates dodge around each other.
Yeah. It's
But,
slower. You have it's 400 ms before you can into key, and then I guess you dodge out of that. So it's a lot slower for the dodge cancel than the others, but I mean it's comparable to Sidewinder into Sidewinder in terms of the overall speed.
I think the combination of the iframes he has now and the hitbox together,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
just so
I mean,
like
it's
he
a- it's a
avoids so
strong-
much and hits 5 people at the same time.
yeah.
You have to
it's a-
realize this was the same dodge attack that is now super strong, but was super garbage before they added 5 frames to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This thing was borderline unusable.
Yeah.
And now
it's like
it's one of the best. And it's not even like they gave him Zerk window. They gave him normal standard window.
Yeah, it was a static one, right? Is it 300
it's-
right now?
in
online?
live,
No, it's 200, 400, I think.
in live, I'm pretty.
I'm not entirely sure.
I'm checking right now, and in live it's 300 static. That's how
Yeah.
how it is.
Oh yeah,
in
no, they
live.
added. Oh yeah, no, they added iframes to it. They didn't make its
Yeah.
window bigger.
They
Yeah.
added iframes to it, and it's so strong with the iframes that it's a static dodge attack that's comparable to delayable dodge attacks.
And well, now they're also with this change 200 to 400 ms, so even better.
Yeah. That
So, yeah,
doesn't
I
look
mean,
that strong,
sure,
just
with
for
a
the window.
with a big window, then yeah, make it a light parry. But if we're talking live, then leave it.
Yeah,
Well, that's not the
with
ambiguity. I think we've been talking about giving them these windows.
Yeah, the
whole
windows
Yeah.
we do them. I mean, we kind of were like jumping around because sometimes we were
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, we keep the old window" or something. So, I mean, we gave both sides of the thing. So let's do the same here with Shaolin. But yeah, fair point. If it's 300, I mean, it's already really strong with the static 300. So
Yes.
no doubt there. So yeah,
Cool.
Well, we've done
we
it.
done?
Well
Anything
done,
else?
are we
Just
done?
fixed
No,
everything.
any final words? Obviously, this
Nerf
is-
Shugoki.
again,
Uh,
one more nerf.
Yeah, nerf
I don't know,
Shugoki.
well, I would-
Loser's advantage is too strong.
I would
Uh,
would like to before we like fully.
I
wrap
swear,
up,
if you say some dumb shit right now.
I don't know. I want to examine the risk reward of the whole of heavy of faint to GB mix ups with
Sure.
heavy heavy dodge attacks or dodge lights. And because I know, Freeze, you've said a lot of the time you prefer it to have more options where dodge attacks don't work rather than having dodge attacks be
The
like
universal
parry.
answer to something, yes, but
Yeah.
it needs to be distinct scenarios that make sense. But yeah, overall, I do, yes.
So, I mean, it's basically the question is there's very much a spectrum of risk reward. So if you have a scenario where you can use dodge attack and you have a dodge heavy, then it's a very safe, well, comparatively safe option, and the overall damage you get, especially against characters that don't have specialized punishes for it, makes it almost always worth going for if you have it. In terms of, I mean, I made a little one. You know, these basic mix up calculators where you just look at the different options that you have and which ones give the best averages. The optimal strategy is to dodge attack as much as you can get away with dodge attacking, essentially, which is why I think people complain about dodge heavies all the time.
Yeah.
Because
I
they
mean,
do fall eventually onto
I
this
think
option.
people complain about them because people use dodge heavies preemptively. With dodge lights, they do sometimes think about it. Some people still use them preemptively. But with dodge heavies, a lot of people use them preemptively because they can't react to anything and they're just coping, which is why you see Kensei just dodge heavy in front of you for no fucking reason.
Yeah, because they know that even if they do get punished for it, it's normally a price. Okay, well, it's not going to lose them the fight if they do it by default, because the punishment is.
I mean, it's really obvious that they're going for it by default, especially with like the nerf is pointing towards people who are going to keep you doing these dodge attacks anyways.
Yeah, but
they'll
does
still lose this fight if you realize they're doing dodge heavy over and over and over and over and over again, like all of Reddit claim they do.
Yeah,
You win the fight. You are winning. There's
you
no
do.
thing.
It just takes a long time.
It takes
But
a long time because you're also making a mistake by not using your higher punish tools, which most
Yeah,
characters
but
have.
so let's say you run into it, the first thing you do to a Kensei, the first thing you do is feint to neutral because you know that he's almost certainly going to do his dodge attack. Then you punish it for the lower amount that you would do than if you're actually used your mix up for it. And then just because you know that Kenseis have a tendency to monkey dodge attack because it's fairly low risk for them, means you already can't be starting in your offense because you have to be aware that you have to.
I mean, in general, I feint to heavy, like how I play, I feint to heavy just to see what they're gonna do in the first place.
Yeah,
like,
I know people do that, but
like feeling at your opponent should be something you do. If the Kensei isn't monkey dodge attacking, to quote, sure, I now need to think about it in a bit more different light. But honestly, it's a case of I just figure out the person and I'm beating them for it. I think the risk and reward is probably better for a heavy dodge attack, definitely better. But
then
you have your options there to beat those heavy dodge attacks, and if you then just the risk and reward looking at dodge attacks, sure, but then if you look at light parry dodge attacks, Orochi's, for example, is beating all of your dodge cancels and everything, and you compare that to Sense, which is Sense. So just looking at risk reward doesn't do any of this justice, I don't think.
It's a very simple view. But the point I was making is the difference between dodge heavy, having a dodge light, or having a mix up where you can't dodge attack at all. Which is the case in a few scenarios where you've shut the person down with hit stun. There's a really big jump in terms of how favorable the mix up is to the attacker if you go from not having a dodge, not being able to dodge attack versus being having a dodge heavy and dodge lights somewhere in the middle of that. And is that like the dichotomy we should be having, and that mix-ups need to be then? You've got the characters where they only have dodge lights and they don't have this tool available to them to beat these mix-ups.
We should maybe not just look at it from is it a light or a heavy dodge attack, but just in general, can he dodge attack? Just give us options in our chains to just stop the dodge attack outright. Then it doesn't matter. Is it a light parry? Is it a heavy parry? How can I dodge it? Just a blue attack or something. It's just
actually that is
stuffing it straight away, and it doesn't always have to be blue. There need to be other options.
I noticed that slightly actually with this change as well. With the earlier startups, you're more likely to hit somebody out of a dodge attack if they buffer it by throwing a heavy, because it's faster and then their iframes end earlier and then you hit them.
We just need more options in that regard. Just don't focus too strongly on it needs to be a light parry because I need to punish it. Just look at more options to just punish it in the first place, where the property of the dodge attack itself doesn't really matter. I think that is another approach they should be having. So this is just one avenue of the whole thing.
Yeah, especially like a charge rush character, they should probably have a way to punish a heavy parry better, which is why Warmongr even has that. She has that tool right there and there for a reason. No, I'm not saying everyone should have a 30 damage heavy parry. Definitely not. But if you're a charge bash hero, you might want to have a tool like that. Maybe like give Cent superior block punch that does damage or some shit. I don't know. But you need to give those characters who need it a tool versus a character who has a blue orange mix up who's gonna hit you with the blue, but now he can also just light parry you and it doesn't matter that he hit you with the blue and start his same offense up again. Because you're just making those mix-ups even better. You did buff the charge bash ones, but now the blue-orange ones are even better technically.
Yeah, but then it also
there's no wrong option there.
I remember there's a bunch of characters that already have dodge lights, and against those characters, those mix-ups are already at that state.
Yeah, but those characters here, we've said 2 of them should be heavy parries, right? And the ones who are fine with as light parries, one's Zhanhu, which we'll discount immediately. I think that's fair. One's Orochi and one's Zerk, who are light parries because theirs are just so much stronger, and they have undodgeable property, which negates dodge cancels, so they end a person's chance to save themselves with a recovery cancel, unless the deflect, obviously. And then you have Valk and Raider, who have the big side dodges, big side movement, like excessively big.
Yeah.
So
and in general, the characters are Valk. We kind of put that there because we were looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is Valk with rework in mind.
Those characters are good, and that's why they have light, where it's fine to have them as light attacks. And I think you can kind of look a little bit of that, how our tier list here has ended up with the characters who are fine as heavy parries. Well, they got problems. Most of them, or should become a heavy parry, have got problems. And that we've all been like, okay, these characters that are fine with light parries, they're very good characters, or they're on the way to being very good. So I don't know. I feel like there's certainly an argument to be made that having dodge heavies are too safe, and that having an option, if you're playing rock paper scissors and you have an option that beats paper and scissors, shouldn't also beat them for the next go round, and the overall damage of the rewards the person doing a dodge attack. I mean, even if it's a dodge light, it's still more favorable to do a dodge attack than it is to play into a feint or to parry or light attack a GB, feint GB, because beats them more often. So dodge lights are still good tools to beat mix-ups, and that's why people complain about, like, some bad players complain about dodge lights as well, because they haven't worked out yet that you've got 3 options instead of 2 options to defend against. And arguably an option that has more defensive coverage should be riskier than picking 1 out of 3.
Yeah, that is the argument most make. But
Yeah, I think
Can't-
there's
yeah,
something
it's fair
to-
enough. But he can't. I don't know. It's just so limiting. It's such a small view of the whole thing, right? Because they're not just
Yeah.
used in against that one thing, one mix-up here specifically. Because our problem is that Force is playing a big part, and just overall, there's so many factors we need to look at. But I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beaten 2 out of the 3 options there. And that's why I said just make the chain offense stronger in general. We need better chain offense because it can't be that we have to feint so much to neutral. I've said that ever since the CCU implementation. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's
But limiting, I mean, just limiting it on the punishability here is just such a weird approach. I think, at least in my opinion.
it's certainly a limiting approach, and it certainly narrows down the possibility space for what they can choose to make balance. So they can't, for example, if they make all dodge attacks light parries, which looks like they're certainly intending to do that, or they wouldn't be testing it if they weren't intending to, don't think it's a good idea, then that reduces the amount of possibility space they have for making, let's say, a dodge attack that is really low damage, really single target, and really bad in every other way, but is a dodge heavy. So it doesn't. So it's safer that way. It does reduce their space, but on the other hand, there's such a big. The current balance space of dodge attacks is so big that there is an argument to be made that it needs to be narrowed down. It's a little bit like when some characters had zone option selects and others didn't have them, or some had loads of option selects and some didn't have them. There was a massive disparity between how good and how bad characters were based on one tool, which isn't really the main focus of the characters' kits. And really, should that be the main focus of the characters' kits? Oh, that I can beat feint guard break mix-ups more reliably than other characters. It's kind of not something you really want to be bouncing around. I'd rather than bounce around more interesting things.
You think it's because we've had it for so long?
Yeah, I think it's because we had it so long. If they were light,
this kind of mix-up is getting boring. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we need to wrap it up though. I think it's too long already. I mean, let's see.
Maybe
If someone want to say a word at the end, but they're gonna have to write in the comments. Let's see who makes it to the end. Pick a weird word.
Oh, okay.
You can pick 3 weird words. All 3 of you.
Rond.
Okay.
Remove Hitokiri.
Okay.
Honestly.
Rond removes Hitokiri, and
There you go.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
And Span, please improve or something.
Help me not be trash at the game.
Bad, please improve could also work.
All right, you guys can choose. You can
Put
choose.
my phone number down, and then people can send me amphetamines.
Yeah, your address.
Give Adderall Spaniard, please. DM me.
All right. Okay, the viewers can choose one of whatever you guys just said and put in the comments. And I knew you actually made it to the end. But no, thank you 3 for participating here. It's something else I usually don't do on the channel. So let's see who makes it to the end. Gonna probably have weird things coming out of this thing. But yeah. All right, you guys want to say goodbye?
Yeah.
Okay.
Goodbye, team.
Goodbye. And don't you dare screenshot this out of context.
Yeah. Remember, the
don't.
fun is objective.
That's not nice.
Please,
All right,
no,
I'll stop now. All right, bye-bye.